Winning the Heisman might be the crown jewel of college football, but here's the twist. That crown doesn't always travel to Sundays. Some of the most electric, unstoppable, can't-miss legends on Saturdays turned into question marks the moment they hit the NFL. Different speed, different windows, different pressure. And the league doesn't care about your hardware. It cares if you can win downs, avoid mistakes, and survive the grind. Tonight, we're running through the Heisman hype machine and asking the hard question: why did certain college icons stall out when the lights got brighter? From clean prospects who kept getting banged up, to gunslingers who couldn't kick the turnover bug, to culture heroes whose styles just didn't scale. This is the other side of the trophy. We'll keep it fair, keep it honest, and when we touch rumors or off-field noise, we'll say it plainly. Reports claimed, critics argued, coaches wondered. Buckle up. We're grouping 10 big names into 5 quick-hit chapters. Fast pace, fresh angles, and no fluff. So by the end, you'll see exactly which traits translate to Sundays, and which ones get exposed. Marcus Mariota was supposed to be a sure thing. At Oregon, he was the ultimate dual-threat machine. Blazing speed, deadly accuracy, and almost flawless decision-making. 58 touchdowns and just 4 picks his Heisman year made him look like a video game cheat code. And when the Titans grabbed him at number 2 overall, fans thought they'd finally found their franchise savior. His NFL debut only fueled the hype. 4 touchdown passes in the first half. That wasn't just good, it was historic. But then came the grind. NFL defenses disguised coverages better, blitzed faster, and forced Mariota to hold the ball longer than he should. The same patience that worked in college turned into hesitation on Sundays. And while the Titans kept shuffling coordinators and playbooks, Mariota's rhythm never returned. Add in injuries, fractured fibula, nerve issues in his elbow, hamstring problems, and the dream collapsed. By 2019, he was benched for Ryan Tannehill, who instantly carried Tennessee deep into the playoffs. Mariota's can't-miss label had officially missed. Sam Bradford's story followed a similar arc, but with an even crueler twist. At Oklahoma, he looked like the perfect pro prospect. Smooth release, clean footwork, and Heisman-winning numbers that made him the consensus #1 pick. The Rams made him the face of the franchise in 2010, and he didn't disappoint right away. Offensive Rookie of the Year? Check hope in a hopeless organization? Absolutely. But Bradford's problem wasn't talent. It was survival. Sprained ankles, torn ACLs, shoulders that wouldn't hold up. Every season felt like a reset button. Each time he came back, the system had changed, the coach had changed, and his body was already breaking down again. And yet teams kept betting on him. The Eagles, the Vikings, even the Cardinals threw millions at the hope that this time he'd stay upright. He never did. Both Mariota and Bradford remind us of a brutal NFL reality. You can be as polished, promising, and hyped as anyone in the draft. But if your game doesn't adapt, or if your body won't hold up, the league moves on without you. Jameis Winston had all the tools you could dream of in a quarterback: size, arm strength, confidence, and the poise of a national champion. Florida State fans still remember the bombs he threw as a redshirt freshman on his way to the Heisman. The Buccaneers believed they were drafting the next great franchise cornerstone when they made him the #1 overall pick in 2015. But instead of stability, Tampa got chaos. Winston's very first pass in the NFL was a pick 6, a brutal omen for what would come. One drive, he'd fire a perfect 40-yard strike into the hands of his receiver. The next drive, he'd gift-wrap the ball to the defense. By year 5, his stat line looked more like a punchline: 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. The Bucs had seen enough. They swapped him out for Tom Brady, and with the exact same roster, Brady delivered a Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Winston drifted into backup roles, showing flashes of brilliance but never escaping the shadow of his turnovers. If Winston was undone by turnovers, Johnny Manziel was undone by himself. Johnny Football was a rock star at Texas A&M, running wild, making defenders miss like he was playing tag in the backyard, and becoming the first freshman ever to win the Heisman. His swagger was unmatched, and the Browns thought they were drafting magic when they grabbed him in the first round of 2014. But behind the scenes, Manziel's priorities were slipping. Reports claimed he partied more than he studied, skipped team meetings, and even disguised himself in a wig to sneak around Vegas before a game. On the field, the improvisational magic just didn't translate. NFL defenses closed those backyard windows instantly, and his lack of preparation showed. 2 seasons, 8 starts, and a handful of highlight scrambles later, he was gone. The CFL, the AAF, even comeback attempts couldn't save him. Where Winston showed reckless fearlessness, and Manziel leaned on reckless immaturity, both stories carried the same moral. The NFL punishes quarterbacks who can't balance chaos with discipline. Tebow was more than just a football player. He was a movement. At Florida, his passion and leadership were legendary. He delivered speeches that gave fans goosebumps, bulldozed linebackers with his running style, and stacked up 2 national championships and a Heisman Trophy. To many, he was destined for greatness everywhere, not just in Gainesville. But NFL scouts had one big question: could he actually throw? The Broncos took the gamble in the first round of 2010, and for one magical season, it looked like a fairy tale. Tebow time became a cultural phenomenon. He led 6 fourth-quarter comebacks, capped by an overtime playoff win over the Steelers that sent Denver into hysteria. It was inspirational, it was chaotic, and it was unsustainable. The very next offseason, Peyton Manning arrived, Tebow was shipped to the Jets, and his NFL quarterback career effectively ended. His throwing mechanics never caught up, his accuracy never improved, and the miracle moments faded. Matt Leinart's story couldn't have been more different on the surface, yet it ended in a similar place. At USC, Leinart was the definition of a polished winner: Heisman Trophy in 2004, back-to-back national titles, and only 2 career losses. He looked like the prototype of a calm, pocket-passing NFL quarterback. But when he delayed his draft entry for one more year of college glory, the shine started to fade. Scouts nitpicked his arm strength, footwork, and drive. By the time Arizona drafted him 10th overall, he was already carrying question marks. His rookie season offered a few bright spots, but once Kurt Warner took over and delivered a Super Bowl run, Leinart never got his job back. Reports swirled that his work ethic didn't match the grind of an NFL starter, and he lacked the edge to claw his way back into the lineup. A few stops as a backup later, he was done. Tebow and Leinart proved 2 sides of the same coin. Leadership and college dominance can make you larger than life on Saturdays. But if your skill set, or your mindset, doesn't scale to Sundays, the NFL has no room for nostalgia. Robert Griffin III, better known as RG3, looked like the future. At Baylor, he was electric: 4,000 passing yards, nearly 700 rushing and highlight reel plays every week. His Heisman season in 2011 turned Baylor into must-watch TV, and when Washington gave up a mountain of draft picks to grab him 2nd overall, it felt like a revolution was coming. As a rookie, he delivered. 20 touchdowns, only 5 picks, plus another 7 scores on the ground. RG3 was a dual-threat cheat code. He carried Washington to the playoffs, and fans believed they had finally found their superstar. But then came that fateful January night against Seattle. Playing on an already damaged knee, RG3 tore his ACL and LCL. In that moment, the magic vanished. After the injury, his blazing speed disappeared, his confidence dipped, and his mechanics unraveled. By year 3, he was benched for Kirk Cousins, the backup drafted in the 4th round. Washington let him walk, and brief stints in Cleveland and Baltimore ended quietly. One injury had rewritten the script from future of the league to what could have been. Archie Griffin's downfall couldn't have been more different. At Ohio State, he was a machine. the only two-time Heisman winner in history, rushing for 100-plus yards in 31 straight games. He wasn't flashy, but he was consistent, dependable, and dominant in college. The Bengals drafted him in the first round expecting a reliable star. Instead, they got average production. Griffin never rushed for more than 700 yards in a season and finished his career with fewer than 3,000 total yards. No scandals, no catastrophic injuries, just a game that didn't scale. The patience, balance, and quick cuts that made him elite in college weren't enough against NFL defenders who were bigger, faster, and meaner. Together, RG3 and Archie Griffin represent two painful truths. Sometimes a single injury destroys everything, and sometimes the leap in competition simply exposes the limits of even the most decorated college careers. Andre Ware was a trailblazer. At Houston in 1989, he lit up defenses with over 4,600 passing yards and 46 touchdowns in just 11 games, becoming the first black quarterback to win the Heisman. His run-and-shoot style was ahead of its time, fast-paced, wide-open, and devastating to college defenses. The Detroit Lions saw the numbers, saw the talent, and drafted him 7th overall in 1990. But here's the problem. They never built around him. Instead of tailoring their offense to Ware's strengths, Detroit forced him into a system that didn't fit. He sat behind veterans, got limited reps, and when he finally saw the field, it was usually in garbage time. Rather than letting him improvise, coaches wanted him to conform, and when he couldn't make that leap fast enough, they gave up. Just 6 career starts, 5 touchdowns, and then a quiet exit to the CFL. Ware had the talent, but he landed in the wrong era with the wrong team, and history never gave him a fair shot. Ron Dayne's downfall was different, but just as telling. At Wisconsin, he was unstoppable. 6,397 career rushing yards, the all-time NCAA leader, and a bruiser who bulldozed defenders week after week. The Giants drafted him in 2000 expecting a cold-weather power back built for fourth quarters and playoff football. Instead, he showed up out of shape and never developed the versatility NFL backs need. Coaches didn't trust his conditioning, and he quickly slipped behind Tiki Barber. He couldn't catch out of the backfield, lacked lateral agility, and never evolved his game as the league shifted toward faster, more dynamic running backs. A few flashes in Denver and Houston weren't enough to erase the label. Dayne was a college legend who never translated to Sundays. Ware and Dayne proved that sometimes it's not just talent, it's timing, fit, and adaptability. The NFL doesn't wait for systems to catch up, and it doesn't reward players who refuse to evolve. The Heisman shines on Saturdays, but Sundays are a different game. Talent, durability, and fit decide everything in the NFL. College legends don't always become pro icons, because in this league, the trophy that truly matters is the Lombardi.